Really feel like I'm pulling a Jessica from Love is Blind with my wine. Mark is like 10 years younger than me. Oh, Jessica. Welcome back to my channel, and today we're gonna do another sit down and talk kind of video. Last time I did the men's version, so what guys want in a girl, and now we're gonna do the girls version, so what women want in a man, in a potential partner. So what makes this person stand out to you and make you want to settle? Okay guys, so if there's some guys watching, now's your time to find out. I did a little bit of an experiment again. I reached out to all the girls I know, my clients, my friends, my family. I just asked everybody I could, basically, what are the top 5 traits that they look for in a potential partner? And then what I did was I reached out to the same guys that I asked for my last video what they think that we would want in a man. So what guys think that we want, and then what we actually want. And now we're just going to compare the results and have a little bit of a discussion, okay? So if you're interested, just keep on watching. So we're first going to start off with what the women actually wanted. Number 1, believe it or not, is ambition. So women want someone that's driven, that's ambitious, basically has his shit together, and is hardworking. So a lot of people might think that doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be rich, but I guess financially stable, but someone that actually just knows what they want and is going after it. So I guess in any situation, they're still going to be successful because they won't allow themselves to fail. And personally, I think that's one of the top qualities that I would want in a partner, just because I'm that way. So I want someone on my level, someone that, you know, we can both work towards our goals together and be a team, and not kind of drag each other down. So I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad thing if you don't have that quality, but for the most part, I think nowadays girls, you know, women, we're working a lot more, we make a lot more, we go to school and stuff. It's not like back in the day. So that's why I think for girls, it's not necessarily as important to depend on a man for money, but it's more so like that they want to be on the same page and they don't want to be the one getting used, or they don't want to be the one that's kind of holding everything down. And honestly, especially here in Toronto, and I'm sure certain places in the world right now, it's so expensive, guys. Like a house here, a little shack is $1 million. And we don't even get paid that much. Like the cost for everything is up here and everyone's salary is like over here. So it's a lot of competing, a lot of bullshit. So I think that's another reason you really, in order to survive, you really need both partners to be stable, to be making money, to be able to split everything, or else it's going to be impossible for one person to carry all that weight. Number 2, believe it or not, is humor. So I personally, this is really big for me. I love someone that I can just have a laugh with, someone that can be laid back, funny, and just kind of lighten the mood, you know, because some of us, we're just so stressed, so anxious, so serious that we need someone to kind of level us out. We want good vibes, we want to laugh, we want to have someone we can have fun with. And not only humor, but a lot of girls said a similar sense of humor. So that way you vibe, because someone can be hilarious, or they think they're hilarious, but then it might be a little bit awkward sometimes because maybe the other person doesn't get their jokes or they're not on the same vibe. So I think that's really important. I actually dated this guy that he was a joker. Like he would joke around about everything, and like sometimes it was fun and we were on the same vibe, and then there were other times where it was just like, but you just have to have a similar vibe and sense of humor. Number 3 is honesty. I kind of grouped things together because there were so many different answers I got, but I basically grouped honesty, trustworthy, and straightforward. I think straightforward is a huge one, especially now, because everyone's kind of holds things in, or they hide things, they don't want to talk about their feelings, they don't want to talk about what they want. So I think we talked about this in the other video too. Having someone that knows what they want and isn't afraid to say it and is straight up with you is like key in a relationship, because you don't want to constantly be guessing what somebody wants, and then, or if they're passive aggressive and they don't tell you, it's just gonna bring the relationship down. It's gonna add a strain to that relationship and it won't work. Number 4, loyalty. So I think this has a lot to do with our generation because of Instagram, social media, dating apps, like because of the fact that there's so many girls and so many guys out there, and like people don't necessarily settle nowadays, or they have wandering eyes. I think loyalty is a big one. Even on the guy side, it's big because people have been cheated on. I guess cheating is such a big thing nowadays. Cheating and lying, and like just even finding your spouse on like having a conversation with someone else or on a dating app and you're not aware. Like so many people have been hurt. So I think that's a huge one. That's why people look for loyalty, because it's really hard to find that nowadays, apparently. And number 5 is family values. So a man, like a family man, that knows how to basically have the traits of a father, to take care of the family, that's nurturing, that's understanding, and has a lot of those family values. And I found with this one, it was more because I have a lot of clients and friends from Woodbridge. That's like an Italian area where I'm from. So I found that amongst the Italian people, this was huge. Like this was on their top. Whereas some of the other girls I asked, it wasn't at their top. So I would say, yeah, that would be more of a trend with people that are more traditional. But also a couple of my clients that were a little bit older, they really put family values up there because at that point in their life, that's maybe what they're looking for. Whereas maybe some of the younger girls that are in their teens or their early 20s aren't really looking for that. So that's also something I found that was interesting. And now we're going to talk about what the guys said. Number 1 for the guys was money. So a lot of guys just said money. They just said finances, security, whatever that is, but they think that all we're out for is money. Number 2 was status. So guys think that we're really materialistic. Like they were talking about like having a nice car, living in a nice house, having a good job, having that money. Number 3 was loyalty and commitment, which is what I discussed before. So I think that's kind of why everyone's thinking of that, because of this whole generation and just like the BS that's going on. And number 4, I would say number 3 and 4 was looks. So guys think that we're really superficial, which when I did discuss, or when I did ask the girls a question, there were a few girls that said looks. I didn't necessarily ask for that, but I found that the girls that did say looks were more like the Instagram girls, you know what I mean? People that want it to be popular. So I think it really depends on what kind of girls you're going for, what kind of girls you're talking to, because a lot of my clients and the girls that I asked, they're doing their own thing, they're holding it down, they're making their money. They're not really caught up in social media, so maybe that's why I had those responses. But depending on the girl that you're going for too, like sometimes it's kind of obvious that that's what they're looking for. And a lot of times it's the girls that don't really have their shit together, that don't really have something going, and they want to find someone to rely on to take care of them. So last but not least, like number 5 honestly was personality. So guys were kind of like, if a girl doesn't get past like the looks and the money, then they don't even care about personality. Whereas when I actually did ask the girls, everything I asked had to do with personality, really. So even with the money, like, it wasn't necessarily the money, it was the personality. It was the traits to be driven and ambitious. It wasn't just, oh, this guy's loaded, let's get going. I think a lot of times we just don't want to be dragged down, which is fair. And I say that in both ways. Like, I personally don't think a guy should be taking care of a girl or a girl should be taking care of a guy. I think everyone should look out for themselves. Like the way I was born, or the way I was raised, was to be independent, to not rely on anybody, and take care of myself. So that's kind of the mentality I have, and that's why, because I have my own stuff together, that's why that's not number 1 on my list. I would say just having someone that has a good mentality, that's driven, that's ambitious is more important, rather than making more money than me. You know what I mean? So to me, that's not as big of a deal. I'd rather have someone that I love, obviously, that I have a good vibe, a good connection with. I think that's really important. But out of all the traits that we're talking about, I would say like personality obviously is huge for me. I do agree with what everyone said, but I do want to add two that I think are really important. I think someone that is emotionally intelligent is really important. I find like because everyone's been hurt, everyone's been through their own BS, everyone's been through their own bullshit, like it's so hard to find someone that's just gonna be real with you or real about their feelings. I think, and I don't blame anyone, like especially at this age, everyone's been through that one relationship that maybe broke them. And guys, you know what, it's harder for guys to express themselves. They don't want to be judged. They want to be seen as weak. Like, I totally get that. But I think it's a really important trait to have, and just kind of be in touch with your emotions and also be able to share them and also be able to communicate with the other person about how you feel, and that type of thing, what you've been through, because like I said, everyone's been through a lot, and it's so hard to find someone that's just straight up and genuine and just isn't afraid to let you know how they feel or let you know what they've been through. And it's just like this whole game that goes back and forth. And you know, like a lot of times, like if a guy likes a girl or realizes he's falling for her, he doesn't want to look weak, just in case like she doesn't like him, or just in general, like people are so afraid to get into relationships now. And I think a lot of it has to do with their past, with things that, you know, they don't want to open up, they don't want to feel that way. So if you guys have watched, I just finished watching a show on Netflix, Too Hot to Handle. Honestly guys, it was so jokes. I love this show. There was so much like drama, and my friend actually watched the full season in one night. Like we just stayed up and did a marathon. And anyways, so for whoever who has watched it, let's talk about Sharon. So he was fully into Rhonda, and he knew he liked her, and he knew she was a good, like, you know, he saw the good qualities in her, but he was afraid to open up because he was scarred in the past. He was cheated on, like his ex cheated on him with his best friend, and obviously that's really traumatic, something crazy for someone to go through, and obviously it makes sense why they wouldn't want to open up. So just kind of like, even in the dating world, I would say always kind of have it in your mind, like, I wouldn't always blame the other person or get defensive, because sometimes it's not you, it's them, it's what they've been through and why they can't open up to you. So I would just be a little bit more patient, and I would figure out where they're coming from, what they've been through, and why they might not want to open up, you know. And then this stuff comes over time, but for me, emotional intelligence is a huge one. I think one of the main important things in a relationship is to be able to communicate together, because, you know, you might not know what I'm thinking, I might not know what you're thinking. We're not in each other's heads. So a lot of times, like, we assume the other person doesn't care, or isn't listening, or isn't noticing things, but that's not necessarily the case. And sometimes when we feel a certain way, or if we do something for someone, we kind of unconsciously expect them to know or to return the favor. And that's another no-no. That's another issue I find a lot of people do. Like, I used to do this, where I would, whatever I did for someone, I would expect it in return. Not necessarily like consciously, but I'd be like, you know, like this person means this much to me. I'm best friends with this person. I love this person. I did this for them. And low key, I would think, you know, maybe like they would do the same for me, or like, why wouldn't they? Because this is how close we are. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to do that. So, obviously guys, don't ever have expectations for people. That way you can't be disappointed. But also just kind of know that everyone's different. You can only kind of, you can only get to where you want to be. You can only get to where you want to be by just being real and telling someone how you feel, or what you think, or what's bothering you. Don't be passive aggressive. Don't let them guess what you're feeling or what you're thinking, because that's not a healthy way to get through something. And a lot of times it causes a lot more drama and tension between the two of you. So communication for me, I would say, is really important. Everyone has a different love language. So, you know, sometimes one person might be more affectionate. Another person might show their love through their actions. So I'm going to kind of talk about my parents here, because that's kind of how they are. Like, my mom is more kind of affectionate. My mom is the one that's very like open about her feelings, and she's excited, and that's how she shows that she loves someone. Whereas my dad is more reserved, less affectionate, but he shows you how he feels. So he does a lot for you. Like, you'll know that he loves you because, you know, even just the little things, like he'll take time off of work to fix your tires, to change your tires, to fix your car, to pick up something from the store for you. Or like, he used to make my mom like tapes and stuff like that, and he was really crafty. So, you know, everyone's different. Just because maybe my dad's not affectionate, that had more to do with the way he was brought up and his family. It didn't really have to do with if he actually loves my mom. So everyone shows their love in a different way, and you just need to understand that it takes time. Like, it takes time to get to know someone. It takes time to learn each other, and there's no right or wrong. Sometimes there's just differences, and you just have to find who you can basically handle. Like, everyone's gonna hurt you, but who you're willing to take that risk for, you know what I mean? Or if all the good outweighs the bad, then you'd want to go with that person. So no one's perfect, guys, at the end of the day, but it's about who you have that connection with. At the end of the day, no matter what qualities they have, what checks off your list, there's always going to be someone that offers something that you might not have thought about. So I had this talk with a friend where it's like, you know, you don't necessarily look at someone and have all like a list and just like check things off. Sometimes you meet someone that you didn't even think that's what you want. You didn't even think that's what you liked, and then you realized, you learned that, you know what, you actually do like this. You know what I mean? So all this comes with experience, but at the end of the day, this is what I got. I hope this helps some of the guys that were maybe confused as to what girls would want. But just to let you guys know, we're not all gold diggers, and we actually do care about your personality. At the end of the day, keeping a relationship and making it happen, that part has more to do with personality rather than what you have. Anyways, I hope you guys liked this video. Let me know what you think. If you have any comments, leave them down below. As always, please give me a thumbs up if you like the video, and I'll see you guys in my next one.